Hey everybody, Jake here again, and I wanted to make this video as sort of a little PSA about a very powerful combo I stumbled upon, and it is about the extreme synergy, the game-winning potential behind Cursed Village and Wharf. So you're going to see this play out here, and these are two cards that are really, really strong on their own, both of them, but together you'll see that they become just this game-winning powerhouse that centralizes entire boards, the amazing synergy between Wharf and Cursed Village. So you're going to see this play out here. I'm sizing the board up, and I want to make sure that it's notable. I do have Secret Cave in the kingdom, so that means in our decks we both have a magic lamp, which means that if you get a bunch of unique cards out, you get a bunch of wishes, and then your opponent just resigns. So you are wanting to get control of your deck on this kingdom, and one way to do it is drawing through everything, but I think it's going to be more efficient to trash. So I'm going to open with at least one rat catcher, and I think I actually open with two. And the opponent here is first player, and what does he do? I believe, yes, he buys a nomad camp, and that is pretty okay if it helps him hit 5 next turn, because it helps him it helps him get an early Wharf. An early Wharf is pretty strong. It's not great because it's orange and you don't get its benefit right away. But if he gets lucky, he could hit 6 right away and get a hireling, and that would be pretty good. That would totally justify the nomad camp buy. So I am going to go ahead and grab a rat catcher myself. I'm more of a rat catcher kind of guy. They used to call me that. And he gets to $2 and 2 buys and $3 and decides to save. So I guess he didn't hit 6, but he did get to save and get a rat catcher. So, he's about even. It comes out about even on that. The difference is that he has this nomad camp in his deck, and whether that's a unique card for Secret Cave, so that'll for the magic lamp, so that'll help him a little bit there. I do decide to get a second rat catcher just to thin a little faster. Rat catcher is nice because it only costs 2, and it can thin out of the start of your hand, but it is a really slow trasher, so I tend to want a lot of it if I want to get any kind of deck control, especially to get those estates out of the way really quickly. And he does get his Wharf. That's on turn 3, so that's pretty good. I get mine on turn 3 as well. And he hits 3. And at this point, what I like for him is a Secret Cave, because the thing about Magic Lamp is that the card that puts it in your deck is also really good with it. So Secret Cave is pretty good for getting your Magic Lamp off because it's a unique card that is a cantrip, and it potentially stays in play for 2 turns. So it's a unique card, and you have 2 chances to get your lamp off with it, as opposed to 1. I also like a rat catcher for him, because I think you want more than 1 here. And actually, if you look, I have all 3 of the rat cat. No. He has 1. I have 2. I think he wants another rat catcher, personally, just to thin a little bit faster. I mean, thinning is not the end of the world. He gets a Harbinger. I don't love that, mostly because Harbinger doesn't really do anything. I mean, definitely not here. You're going to draw your deck here, so the Harbinger really doesn't have a lot of value at all to me. I don't think the decks are sloggy enough that you're really going to get value out of that. So sometimes you obviously buy the rat catcher to thin estates, but you're more than happy to thin copper with it too, just to get it back in your shuffle and thinning more cards. So I go ahead and thin 1 estate, 1 copper, and I get 4. And what am I thinking about doing with that? I believe that I decide to get a mission. Yes. I remember why I did that. That's because I have the secret cave in the next shuffle, and I want to get my rat catchers back in play. And it wastes, quote unquote, wastes my wharf turn, but it also sets up next turn to thin a little bit faster and to hopefully just get my magic lamp off that much quicker. Because once you get the lamp off, you really accelerate. And I'm drawing my deck, and I almost have 6 unique cards in my deck, so I'm really close to getting that lamp off. I should be able to get it off next turn, not next turn, but next turn after the mission that I am probably going to buy. That's the plan, anyway. So he saves, and what is he going to buy? He's got his Cursed Village, so you see he's got part of the power combo between Cursed Village and Wharf already online. And I'm thinking about whether or not to call this Ratcatcher, and I decide not to do it because I am counting the number of uniques in my deck, and it's 5 right now, and that means that I can buy a unique card and then buy a mission, and then unless I get a really bad draw, get my magic lamp off that turn. But only if I don't call that other Ratcatcher, because I need to be able to call it to have it in play for next turn so it's a unique card, because if I just play that Ratcatcher, it goes onto my Tavern mat and it's not in play anymore. So I decide that I can go ahead and save and buy a mission and a Harbinger, which again doesn't actually do anything for me. I think the Pearl Diver might have been better. We're splitting hairs here because they're basically the same card. But it doesn't matter. Discarding to the Secret Cave was maybe not worth it because it made it so that I had to cause this terrible shuffle. Now I have 2 coppers on top of my deck for next turn, but at least I've got the wishes. And the money from the Secret Cave is not nothing. It's an econ boost, and an econ boost is definitely what I need to speed myself up at this point. So, I don't know. Maybe it was worth the shuffle. Maybe it was worth putting those 2 bad coppers on top. Especially because I can thin one of them with a Ratcatcher. And he gets his secret, his magic lamp off as well. He just powers through to draw through and get the cards in play to make that happen. So the difference between our decks at this point is I have a little bit more payload, or I have a little bit more control over my deck. I have fewer cards in it, and I'm drawing more, whereas he has a little bit more payload in his. And we both have the wishes. I'm going to get to use mine earlier, and I got my lamp off a turn earlier, so I think I'm ahead at this point. But as always, I really want to get that Cursed Village Wharf power combo going. So what better way to do that than to wish for a Cursed Village and a Wharf? Yeah. See, it's coming together. And at this point, I think that I use my last wish on gold. So this is a point about wishes in general, and it's not going to apply here, but a lot of the time, if you don't have an explicit use for a wish, something that makes your turn better, you just keep the wish in your deck. So in this case, if I wasn't going to be putting a gold in the deck, I might have wanted to just keep the wish instead and use the wish to gain a wharf or a cursed village, whatever I felt was necessary. And why exactly? Oh, I guess I feel the need to stagger my warbs right now to make sure I kick off. I don't know how big of a concern that is. The goal I'm going for here is to get 2 warbs in play every turn and to hopefully also get double province. So at this point, I pick up another wharf and some payload. I want to be having +4 cards and buys every turn. And that shouldn't be too hard because I'm going to be drawing my deck, so I can start greening pretty soon too. He gets another cursed village. I believe I never get more than one cursed village this game. I don't think you necessarily need more than one. In all seriousness, the cursed village is, of course, the worst possible village for a Wharf. Right? It's a $5 necropolis that gives you a hex when you gain it. So this is just a testament to the power of Wharf, right? I mean, the secret cave has some synergy with it. The rat catchers have a little bit of synergy with the cursed village, but you'd really rather this be any other village, any other way to get plus action, and you'd be much happier. But we might even be going for bigger decks at that point. Like if Cursed Village wasn't so bad for Wharf, I might have gone for double, triple province turns and not taken anything less. But because it is, I go for double and single province turns. And I don't know if I ever have a double province turn. But you see here, he gets a hireling. I don't really like the hireling. I mean, I think the Wharves do enough drawing on their own. And I don't think him especially is not hurting for terminal space. He's got the Cursed Villages. The hireling is kind of even worse with the Cursed Villages than the Wharves are. It's at least as bad. By the way, when you're drawing your deck and overdrawing by 3 or more, like Secret Cave gets to be a really good card. It gets to be this cantrip. I don't know why I discarded a Wharf there, whatever. It gets to be this cantrip that it gives you 3 money. Like, a cantrip that just gave you 3 money would, of course, be way more expensive than Secret Cave is. So when you're overdrawing by enough, the Secret Cave gets to be quite a good payload card. So I get a gold, and should that gold have been maybe something like Secret Cave, Silver, and Save or something? Or Secret Cave Silver. That would have been more money for my deck. But it's a little less reliability, and even though I am kicking off every turn, in all likelihood, there's always the chance I could dud, and not having those extra stop cards gives me the freedom to thin coppers. That didn't make any sense, did it? Whatever. So, he's playing his turn out here. He still has an estate in his deck, and a bunch of copper. See, this is why I... Not a bunch, but some. This is why I really advocate getting a bunch of rat catchers. He has 1 rat catcher, and I got 2. And I might have even wanted more. He gets a second rat catcher. I think it's a little late, but I think he wanted that a little earlier. But it's certainly better late than never on those. And don't get me wrong, it's not about the thinning being impactful for your deck right now. It's about thinning those coppers out, giving you the freedom to put more stop cards in the deck that are more valuable, like golds and silvers and overdrawing with Secret Cave, things like that. So what do I do here? I think probably the better move than what I did. Oh, I get Gold Wharf. That gives me 4 Wharves, so it makes the dreams start to come true. So gold would have been fine too, and then get more Wharves later. I was overdrawing by enough that, and I had 2 Wharves out that turn, so gold, I think, might have been a little bit better than what I did, which was Gold Wharf. Gold might have gotten me double province turns at some point. So you see here, he is basically building the deck that I'm building, except he is a little bit behind just because he hasn't thinned as much. He has had a hard time getting his draw in line because the Cursed Village and the Wharf are so OP together. So, draw some stuff dead. That's okay. If one of those Wharves had been a gold, I would have hit 15. No huge loss there. I do decide that the mission has a lot of value to my deck to set up a much better turn next turn. 2 Wharves out instead of 1. I get a secret cave. I get secret cave money. So yeah, the mission I think was pretty good. And doesn't matter how much money I have this turn, so I just go ahead and discard everything that's not helping me. And I save a card, probably the Wharf. Yeah, save the Wharf. Do it. You did it. Good job. Good job, me. And for 5, I buy nothing. And he calls his Ratcatcher to trash that curse he got, which he got from his Cursed Village when he bought it, if you recall. He finally gets that estate out of his deck. Does he have another estate in his deck? I think he does. So, he hits 8, and does what with it? He could get a province, which would, and hope I dud. So if he gets a province, he's committing to this single province back and forth and hoping that I dud at some point. Or he could build a little more into payload and still, again, hope I dud at some point, but maybe get to double province turns so he could outpace me. Both of those are probably valid calls. What does he end up doing? He wishes he had another dollar for sure. I think he wants 2 golds. Or does he? No, he really doesn't. He doesn't have enough Wharves. He's not playing 2 Wharves every turn. So he gets a gold. And maybe he saves and then gets a Wharf. 2 golds. I mean, the 2 golds is fine. Like, extra payload is pretty good, but I do, if he hadn't already saved, I didn't really pay attention. I would have rather seen him save and then get a Wharf. But, you know, I'm overdrawing. It suggests a little bit of inefficiency. I think probably at least wanted another secret cave in the deck by now. I'm deciding exactly what I want to do with this turn, and I am 1 coin short of double province because I know how to count. So I decide instead to go single province but save a gold for next turn. And I get my secret cave at least. Yeah. You know, save with Cursed Village. That's another power combo if you think about it. So he plays his Cursed Villages and his Ratcatchers and his Harbingers. Lots of good stuff happening. And he needs to draw 4 more cards to draw his deck. And he's got a lot of payload in that deck. So if he can get that draw in line, he could have those double province turns. Like, that is not crazy for him to go for. So I think he wants to get Province Wharf. Province save 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 Wharf. Okay, so now we get to my turn.
and thinking about calling rat catchers, trash this Harbinger for no reason, decide not to. It's not doing any harm. It's not doing any good, but it's not doing any harm either. Again, the purpose of the Harbinger was just to get my lamp off. So I can play the Secret Cave, and if I discard... Why didn't I discard? It would have put a single bad card on top, but that probably would have been worth it. Yeah, I think I totally should have discarded a cave there. It seems like a clear call. I probably cost myself a province next turn by doing that. By not doing that. It would have caused a bad shuffle, but it only would have put one extra card on top of my deck. That was bad, so it's probably worth the $3 from Secret Cave next turn. Yeah, we're gonna call that a misplay on my part. He's thinning a little bit of his copper out. I don't know if he needs to thin all of his... Well, okay, thinning... He was short on draw by 4 last turn. Okay, well, it looks like he's not drawing everything anyway this turn, so I don't know. His draw is weird and inconsistent because it relies on Cursed Village synergy to a degree, and he's got to get his cards in the right order to really get the most out of his deck. I like how Adam puts it, actually. Wharf and Cursed Village, he compared them. He said these cards have different objectives. Cursed Village's objective, or Wharf's objective, is to put all of the cards into your hand, whereas Cursed Village's objective is to put 6 of the cards into your hand. No more, no less. Wharf wants all of them, and Cursed Village wants 6 of them, so that's where we see a little bit of anti-synergy and clashing in this kingdom. So I decide this time to make the right call and discard... Yeah, I would have got double province if that earlier turn if I had discarded the Secret Cave. But I go ahead and make the call this time to discard to the Secret Cave. And what am I going to go? I could go province gold here. And for sure get double province next turn, but I decide to play it a little bit safer and get province duchy, just because it makes it a little less likely that I win next turn, but more likely that I win period, because he really can't catch up if I just keep increasing my score. The provinces don't do it, so every duchy I buy is another duchy he needs to buy if he wants to have a chance to win. And he is going to go ahead and go double duchy. That's really the only move he has available to him. Obviously, if he buys the province, honestly, actually, he probably should have just bought the province and prayed to God that I dudded this turn, because that would have probably been his actual only way to win, is if he got that province and then on his next turn he kicked off and got province duchy. And then he might have been able to win. As it is now, I'm going to get another province, and then it makes it a lot harder. So I think that is what he needed to do, is go ahead and actually just buy the province, and then next turn go province duchy, because what he effectively did was make it so that he loses next turn instead of this turn. Don't get me wrong, he would have lost either way, the way my draws worked out. I'm not saying that it's totally wrong what he did, but I am saying that it would have given him the highest likelihood of not losing to just buy the province and hope that I dud. He's still underdrawing by 4, so a few more wharves and a little more thinning might have done him some good. He might have wanted to go for 3 wharves at a turn. I don't know. I think the hireling is kind of a trap here. I think the Wharves are doing more draw than the Hireling at the expense of taking up more terminal space, but the terminal space is not what you're limited on here, especially not him, because he's got all these cursed villages. So I think the Hireling was a lot worse than a Wharf. And by the way, when I'm criticizing his play, I'm not implying that I've played perfectly by any means at all. I've, of course, had some super inefficient turns here, hitting 15 instead of 16, uh, failing to incorporate payload and at the right time and in the right quantities to close the game out and get double province turns. But I do go ahead and sputter across the finish line here, and I've got the provinces. So hopefully we've all learned a little bit about this ultra powerful combo, and I hope that you have enjoyed watching. Thank you again.